about to be interviewed by my good friend, Dr. Walter Sands, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite things in the whole wide world, me. So you're about to find out who is this Kiki Richardson. Just to give you a little heads up, I'm the consummate provocateur, so make sure.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Walter Sims, and I am the Minister of Motivation. And I am so happy to announce that I'm going to be on every Sunday on Supervision.tv at 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, and 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What are you going to get when you watch my show? You're just going to get a whole lot of motivation, interviews, singing. It's no telling what you're going to see. But I'm just telling you, it's going to be worth your while. We're going to motivate you because I believe if you're motivated, you're going to be inspired, and then you're going to act. Is that all right? Well, listen, this has been Dr. Walter Sims. I am the Minister of Motivation, and I am excited to be on Supervision.tv. And as I always say, if you stay high on life, life will stay high on you. Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Walter Sims Show. And I am just super excited today because I am meeting for the first time a young lady that we coached together, learned how to coach together, been on Blog Talk Radio together, been doing a lot of things together, talk on the phone, exchange notes. And I just so happen to be in the same city she is right now, Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm beside myself. So if I seem a little extra giddy today, it's because I am with a good friend of mine, Miss Kiki Richardson. Kiki, how you doing?
I am wonderful. I cannot complain.
Oh,
if I did, who wouldn't?
Girl, you are off the chain. And one of the things we wanted to start off with is, who is Kiki Richardson? Because the reason I asked that question is because when I first heard you on Blog Talk Radio, and I said, playing devil's advocate, what is that about? And I heard your voice. I'm like, oh my goodness, who is this ball of energy? And you have such a presence even on the radio. So who is Kiki Richardson?
Well, I'm just this little kid who never wanted to grow up.
Amen.
I really was a Toys R Us kid, and I still am to this day. I never wanted to grow up, but I always wanted to be seen and heard. That was just always the youngest kid, so I had, the attention deficit disorder. Not the one that they diagnosed, but that's basically the one where you want all the attention and you never get enough.
Right.
And so, starting from standing on the coffee table with my towel on my head and my broom as my microphone, me and Diana Ross, it just kind of propelled me into dance.
Okay.
And from dance into, I believe this, rapping, and then,
K to the I to the I to the K.
It was actually double K, believe it, I guess.
Okay.
So, rapping, and then I somehow decided I was going to go to college. I said, I'm going to leave all of that alone.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to put my education first. I said, entertainment is always entertainment. It's always going to be there. So I went to school and was like, I missed it. So I went back and actually ended up dancing with Bernie Mac.
I did. Guys, that's why I love this show, because you learn while you're doing the interview.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I toured with him for 5 years.
Now you just let me know that.
I didn't know you didn't know. You must have read my bio.
Well, a little bit. That is awesome. Without getting off into that, how was that to tour? Because a lot of people that I'm dealing with now say, looking back, how draining it was to do the tour thing and on the road and the singing, etc. How did you enjoy it?
Well, it's not off the track, basically, because that's a large part of who I am. Because I learned a lot of my life lessons during that 5 years span. So, well, it just reinforced what I had known and then taught me some new lessons. So it's really a major part of who I am.
Oh, wow.
But as far as the whole component of traveling and it being draining and all of that, I don't think it was. The whole time I was on the road, I was like, I can't wait to get home. And then the whole time I was at home, I was like, I can't wait to get back on the road.
I got you.
But it was an experience because it taught me a lot about me. It taught me to be extremely independent. It taught me to trust my instincts.
Wow.
Because you have a lot of people that come up and meet you, want to befriend you, and all of these other things, and you have to learn to tap into that spirit of discernment and be like, yeah, just because you're smiling will make you my friend. So I learned a whole lot.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Well, when we first met, we were both wanting to be coaches. And one of the things that we talked about is leaving corporate America and becoming entrepreneur. So talk about corporate America a little bit, and what happened to make you want to just pack your grip and get out of there? What happened?
Well, actually, I didn't pack my grip and get out. They packed my grip and put me out. That's okay too.
I hear you.
Sometimes we stay a little too long in a space, and we need to be.
I just heard that the other day.
Yeah,
One of my friends told me that the other day. You can overstay your season.
Absolutely, and and he evicted me, and that's okay. I'm all right with it. So, but basically, what happened was I moved to California.
Okay.
After the tour ended, I was bored, and I said, it's something. My spirit was uneasy. Like, you gotta do something. You gotta do something. I didn't know what it was. So I was like, okay, I'll move. And I didn't know where I was going to move to. I picked 4 cities, narrowed it down to the point LA, North Carolina.
Really? Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay, so where's home for you?
Chicago.
Okay, Chi-Town.
DC, yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Yes,
Okay.
Barack Obama.
There you go.
Al Capone.
She gangster.
I'm just saying, you can take credit for the good and not be responsible for the bad. So,
I like that.
So, I moved to California and didn't know anything, was auditioning, doing all that stuff, and it started to feel like work. And with dance being my first love, I didn't want to taint it. So I retired from dance. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. So I went into the corporate thing. Was unhappy the entire time because it was not, I love the money.
Okay.
I love what the money afforded me, the Benz, the Range Rover, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Absolutely love that. But I hated it because it wasn't something I was passionate about.
Wow.
And so I found myself in healthcare and, research and development for drugs and clinical trials for cancer and stuff like that. And, just at a time where I was learning a whole lot about clinical trials and all of that stuff, and then I get released. The economy went bad, they're like downsizing. And they downsized me, and I was like, what? Okay, that's fine. Because a friend of mine had asked me, what is it that you're passionate about? What do you want to do? About a year before that. And I was like, no. And that was the first time in my life I had ever been able to answer that question with an I don't know.
Wow. And you know something, Kiki? A lot of my coaching now, that's one of the major questions I ask people because, and we'll get to this with you in a minute, your relationships and our purpose. And I ask people very simply, what is it that you want? And 8 out of 10 people come back and tell me, Dr. Sam, you know what? Nobody's ever asked me that question, therefore having to answer it. And I really don't know. And so, if you're not getting what you want out of life, how can you really judge and say, I don't like life when you don't even know what you want out of life? You know what I'm saying? So where did you take that when they asked you that 12 months prior to the eviction? Then where did you take that?
It just sat in the back of my head.
Okay.
I didn't take it anywhere. At that point, I was just at a place where I was comfortable in the I don't know.
Wow.
That's
good.
a scary place to be because
Girl.
you can end up just about anywhere. And
that's good. That is good. That was good.
I don't like to say that things are coincidental. I say it coincidentally happened on purpose.
I like
because or that it happened accidentally on purpose.
Right.
Because that being in the back of my mind, and I've always had a good record of being able to align myself with people that would point me in the direction.
Right.
Not even knowing the effect that they had.
Okay.
Just kind of.
Okay. Yeah. Just
nudging.
Just nudging.
Yeah. Just get on over there. That's
I like that.
So at that point, a friend of mine was doing a radio show, and she said, "Well, just come kind of sit in with me. I want to do it by myself." I said, "All right, fine." Bam. And I found myself producing her show.
Is that right?
I didn't know a dang on thing about radio. I didn't know a dang on thing about how to produce a show or anything, but I knew what I had in my head.
Right.
And how but what was in my head wasn't in the head of her executive producer.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of like.
Hey, guys, that is a good segue for us. And when we get back, we're going to talk about the PDA, playing the devil's advocate, and where all that came from. Because you were controversial on purpose. Anyway, we'll be right back.
I'm Joy with the Review with Joy and Company, and we just hosted a fabulous show with Dr. Walter Sims. As you know, he's authored Living Motivated, and we've gotten 3 calls since the show has ended. It wasn't long enough. He was a dynamic personality, and he just encourages. So I say, get the book and go a step beyond that. Contact Dr. Sims. He can work with you with a workshop, a seminar, and even personal motivational life coaching. I'm excited for what God is doing through this man of God to bless his kingdom.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And before we left for a break, we got into you hosting your friend's show and bumping heads with her executive producer. So what did that do for you being in that atmosphere? What did that do for you?
Well, I said I could do this myself. I don't need this. You know, thank you for the on-the-job training, but I'll take my little red wagon and go someplace else.
Wow.
And I just created this thing. I started posting on Facebook just random questions that were going through my mind based on conversations I was having with friends, based on what I was seeing on television. And I said, you know, post them and people would respond, you know.
Right.
And then I would respond back and say stuff like, well, just play a devil's advocate here. What do you think about blah, blah, blah? And then it would tweak more conversation and then more and more and more. And
it fired people up there.
Yes. And I said,
oh.
That's the name of the show. Right. I was like, that's the name of the show.
Right.
Devil's Advocate. And then I just formulated a show where I said, you know, I wanted to have an open, honest, judgment-free forum where people can come and talk and have the uncomfortable conversation, the conversation that people should have but don't have often enough, and without judgment.
That's good. Because that's your disclaimer on the show.
Absolutely.
That's your disclaimer on the show is that there's some things we don't say, and there's some off-limit stuff, there's some hard limits. But you say basically for your show, well, it is a show that sparks conversation. And you handle a lot of topics that a lot of people don't like to deal with.
Right.
What's been one of your favorite topics to talk about?
One of my favorite topics has been transgender men and women.
Okay.
And of course, the entire homosexuality. And I think that one that's also been, interestingly enough, was the adult entertainment show we did.
Wow.
Most people thought when they were coming on, we had some adult film stars on the show, and most people thought, oh, they're going to talk about sex.
Yeah.
You know, they all got in, they were ready. I mean,
well,
they
were pumped. They were pumped.
But what I wanted to do was, I never take a topic and do what's expected. I always take a topic and go from a different point of view so we can get different information. Because everybody covers the same topics all the time.
Right.
And I don't want to just be a carbon copy of the same information you heard from that person.
Right.
That thing, I wanted to make sure that when you walk away, you're being educated and entertained at the same time.
That.
So
I like
it's
that.
trademark, don't try to. At the same time, you walk away, and I don't. And since we talk about such serious subjects, or I wanted to do it in a way where people didn't feel like they were being, no offense, preached to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
None taken.
Right. That they felt like I'm actually a part of the dialogue.
Oh, that's good. Don't worry, I take a lot of notes from you on my show, and it's been really good. And I want you to know that I do watch you from afar, and very proud of you. And you asked me about your first book. You asked me to read it and really put a quote on one of the social sites that your book was on. And her first book was The Other Woman's Code of Conduct. And she asked me to do an excerpt for the book, and I read the book, and I'm like, wow. And in my excerpt, that's what I said. I said, your book matches who you are, playing the devil's advocate, because you show different sides without giving an opinion or being judgmental. You show the different sides to everything, and I like that, how you did it. So how do you do that? We'll get into her book in a minute. So how do you do that, your position as PDA playing the devil's advocate, and not interject your opinion? Because that would be hard for me.
Because ultimately, at the end of the day, who cares what I think? It's not about my opinion.
You sound like a life coach.
You know what? That is my side job.
You sound like a life coach. You know, at the end of the day,
nobody cares what I think. I just want to know what you think and why you think it. My thing is,
that's good.
I always want to know why. Ever since I was a little kid, and
been right here.
Every child goes through that phase where
you know they do. That's right. That's right.
Why?
That's right.
And most of the time we don't want to tell them just because, or because I said so, or just do what I said.
Right.
We don't want to tell them why, but we're crippling them when we do that, right?
Oh,
so
that's good.
I've
That's
always,
good.
even at my own highest expense, and I got plenty of it, I mean, that and, getting, my mom was, she didn't play. Right, so even at that expense, I would always ask why. And I wanted to know why, and I wasn't going to stop until I found out why. And
that's awesome.
That's always been my thing. I got kicked out of religion class in high school because I questioned the nun. I was like, well, why? And
why?
Well, why? And she was like, because. And I'm like, because what? You said here, and then now
there
you said
you go.
this.
There you
why
go.
Is there this
and you know what I've also learned since we've been down this journey being coaches, when people ask why, they really want to know an answer.
Yes. Yes. And I don't want to know an answer because I have nothing else to do with my time.
Right.
I want to know an answer because I need that answer to help me move forward and push through.
That's good.
And whether your answer is correct, whether it's off base, whether it's just gibberish,
it's your answer.
It's your answer. But what it does is it challenges me now to internalize what you just said.
That's right.
Mix it up and say, okay, spit that out, keep this,
That's
spit that out,
exactly
keep
right.
that. And it also teaches me how to interact with you. It tells me a lot about you.
That's good. So on your show,
Yes.
bringing these differing opinions together, has anybody just broke out in a fight on your show?
Well, they picked fights.
I know a couple of them. I heard a couple of them. They do pick fights, don't
they try to pick a fight, but because my thing is on the show, it's okay for us to disagree. I want us to disagree because it's in that conflict where we can find solutions, we can heal, we can learn.
Oh, that's awesome.
We can learn the why.
That's awesome.
Because whenever there's conflict, there's an emotional attachment, and that's where the healing starts.
That's good.
Where it is.
That's really
right.
good.
So
that's really good.
I want that conflict to happen, which is why I take the stance that I take, which is why I cover the subjects that I cover, because I think it's important that we are clear about why we believe what we believe.
That's good.
And in knowing that, we can live a full life. We can live a truthful life. We can be free from all the bonds and constraints that everybody else has put on us.
Wow, that is so good. And that perspective, I think, makes you such a good relationship coach expert that you are. And we'll talk about your book in just a second, but this is international. Everybody's going to hear you, and everybody's going to see you. So the dynamic of men and women, and you being a relationship expert as you are, what's the biggest hindrance to relationships that you see in 2012?
I think it's a Bonnie and Clyde. I think it's communication and expectation.
She just said a mouthful. That's good. So talk about that dynamic of communication. And here's my take on it. The lack of communication yields the lack or the increase of expectation that you haven't talked about.
Yeah, it's all interlinked, because if I have an expectation and I don't communicate it to you,
you better say so.
Then I now set you up to fail. Right?
That's
or
good.
if
That's
I
a good
don't
word.
talk,
That's
right?
a good word. That's a good word. That's an excellent word, because a previous guest of mine, one of her 5 things that she finds is so complicated about us is that we don't talk. And I got onto some of my guy friends. I said, fellas, we can't get mad at the ladies if you don't express why you're frustrated. Y'all can't read our mind. Now, y'all are out there. Y'all gonna say what's on your mind, because that's how y'all are built. But we kind of like,
yeah, but
don't talk.
It's a good it's a difference between communicating and effectively communicating. Because
Good.
I can say to you whatever it is, but if I'm not effectively communicating in a way you can receive the information, I may as well not have said anything.
My Lord, that's good. That's good.
So
that's
oftentimes,
really good.
as women, we'll think we're saying what we need to say to you and that you should get it.
Wow.
But we're not speaking in a way that you can receive it.
That's good. That's a mouthful.
I think it's
very
important
good.
that we understand how one another communicates, right? My expectation is that you know what I'm talking about, right?
Wow, that's good.
But you don't. And you like, I don't understand why you're mad at me, Kiki. What happened?
That is so good.
You don't know? You don't know? I shouldn't have to tell you. And then now we're in this abyss.
It's right here, this
yes.
vicious circle
Yes.
right here, this
Absolutely.
vicious circle.
Absolutely.
So how do we break out of that, Miss Kiki?
We have to get out of ourselves for a second. Because it's one thing, me being an island, dealing with me and fixing me and working
Wow.
on me. That's me
Wow.
getting into me. But now I need to work with you. If I'm trying to bond with you, if I'm trying to have something with you,
Wow.
I have to now step out of me and get a little bit into you.
And I think what the industry and the world in media has done is on all these shows, you have love, problem, put it back together in 60 minutes. And what it does, it falsely lets people know that, I ain't got time to deal with this. But relationships take time.
Well, I mean, we have to understand that the way that we have relationships are a direct reflection of what we've seen.
That's right, that's right.
So we also oftentimes mimic what we've been told relationships are supposed to be, or what we've seen relationships, or what we want our relationships to be based on what we saw somebody else's relationship is like. And we don't ever take the time to decide for ourselves, well, this is the kind of relationship I want, and I need to tell this person, and if they're on board, great.
Right.
If they're not, I'm going to keep searching. It's
Wow.
okay.
Wow.
But we try to fit our relationship into this little cookie cutter mold, and we have so much resistance. Everybody doesn't belong in a box.
That's
so
right.
why try to box everybody in? So it's one of those things where I expect one thing based on what I heard, saw, or was conditioned to believe, and then you have an idea based on what you heard, saw, thought, or was conditioned to believe.
Right.
And then we come together and we're not communicating about it.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
This road that we travel is going to be a bumpy road. I can't assume, and a lot of times we do. We assume, oh, well, that's common sense, so that goes without saying. No, it's not common sense. And yes, you need to say
so
it.
good. That's so good. Okay, so your book.
Yes.
Your book, The Other Woman's Code of Conduct. Y'all, you need to get a copy. You need to get a copy. Need to get a copy.
You know what's so
That's good.
funny,
I read that in one sitting. I couldn't put it down. I'm like, oh my goodness. So when I first bought the book, she autographed it. She said, what if everybody gonna say they see this in your library? I said, it's all good. Research.
Yeah, it's so funny because people are like, you gave it to a minister to read? And I'm like, actually, a lot of, people of the cloth read my book.
Right.
Because, again, the first instinct when you hear it, the other woman code of conduct, what every other woman should know, and then two, you think, you're teaching people how to cheat, right? That's the first thing that people think.
That's
you see the cover and you say, it's real,
Right, right.
And so for me, I thought that it was important that people who are in the faith understand that I'm not coming from a place of that.
Right.
Not because I don't believe, but because it's not a place, it's a time and a place for things.
That's right.
And oftentimes people feel restricted and constrained, and they're not themselves when it comes to religion. They try to fake the punk a little bit, right? So I figure if I give it to you and you look at it from your vantage point as a pastor, and you can see that I'm not pointing a finger, I'm just explaining behavior.
That's exactly right. Good book.
Yeah.
Good book.
So that's what I do. I don't take a side. I don't condone it. I don't condemn it.
That's right.
It's one of those things. Hey, it is what it is. It's
playing the devil's advocate.
And it's having that uncomfortable conversation. It's been amazing to me the amount of people who are in relationships, married or long-term relationships, who have come to me and said, you know what? My boyfriend or my husband saw the book sitting on the thing. I was like, what are you doing? And now it's open.
That's good.
It's opened the room, the door, the window for them to have a conversation about something they would have never had a conversation
about. That's awesome.
Because she assumed he knew it was off limits, so he assumed that,
Boom. That's good. So when you wrote the book, real quickly, what did you really want everybody to get from reading the book?
I wanted people to understand their behavior. I wanted people to get angry. I wanted people to know why they were getting angry.
Right.
What that anger was about. And most times people say, that's not right, or that's wrong. And I'm like, listen, right and wrong comes from a place of judgment. This is my point of view.
There you go.
Right?
You say that when your show starts.
This is my point of view, and you can have yours, and we can peacefully coexist. But I'm giving you something, a different way to look at something. Look at it from a different perspective, and maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll say, you know what? That's not something I'm interested in doing. Maybe that's too much work, or maybe, okay, well, I get it now. So,
there you go.
Because a lot of people, one of the things that I say that's really controversial controversial is every woman, whether she knows it or not, has been or will be the other woman. And I get women.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
they're ready to
Wow.
fall my eyes out.
That's good. That's
it's true.
good.
It's true. Because here's the thing. If you didn't know it, you don't know what that person's other intention was. And then there's a grooming process that a lot of people, that I didn't go into in the book because that's another book. But there's a grooming process to getting someone to be the person on the side. Right. And I wanted to be clear that it wasn't just about the other woman, because I said, and men too. Because it's for men who have women on the side, and it's for the woman who's on the side, or vice versa gender, because women don't own the franchise. Men don't own the franchise.
That's right.
Cheating. So I wanted people to understand that it can come in any way, shape, or form.
It's good. So how's the book doing?
It's doing well. Really, I'm like, what? People, how are you hearing about it? That kind of thing. But it's been kind of a word of mouth thing, and I've had a lot of people say people wanted to borrow my book, and I'm like, no, nope, you got to get your own. I've noticed
that's good. That's good. Y'all got to get your copy. You got to get a copy. You got to get a copy.
On iTunes, the purchase on iTunes have the digital ones have gone up. I didn't originally release the digital copies at first.
That is good.
Yeah, I didn't want to at first. That was one of the things I didn't want to do. I'm like, I don't want my book bootleg. I'm not gonna do electronic. And then finally I said, everybody's living in a technological society, so let me just go ahead and stop acting like a dinosaur with this. I'm so tech savvy with everything else. I don't want to be, dinosaur when it comes to the book. So when I put it on iTunes, everybody was like, download.
Oh man, it's easy, ain't it? It's easy. Yeah. So let me ask you this as we wrap up the interview. What's next for Kiki? How you doing now with this whole, I'm an entrepreneur now, I'm out in here, I'm grinding, I'm doing my thing. What's next for you and how you doing?
Everything is next. Everything and anything. I don't put limits on where I can go.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because you never know what path may come. I know what I'm working on now. Whether it comes to fruition 100% down the line, or it morphs into something else, it's something different. I don't know.
That's good.
I'm doing more public speaking. I'm doing group counseling with women and women's groups and church organizations and men and the youth. There are a lot of people. I've walked up on them guys having conversations about relationship and just thinking myself in the conversation like, blah, blah. And they're like, hey, you need to hold a seminar for us because we understand you speak our language, that kind of thing. So I think it's important to get them early, You get them early and then they go into relationship.
So that's good.
I'm doing a little bit more of that.
That is good. So how do you stay focused? I want you to speak real quick for the last couple of minutes. How do you stay focused? How do you stay motivated? How do you keep your nose to the grindstone? How do you just keep what you're doing in front of you so you don't get sidetracked?
Well, if my nose is at the grindstone, I can't see what's going on.
Come on, somebody.
Right?
Come on. That's good.
So
that's good.
If I'm focused right here, I can't see this. I mean, I know you're there.
Right.
But it doesn't matter to me because what's important is the one in front of me. So that's how I stay focused. I focus on what it is where I'm going. I can't run your race. I can't run your race. I'm running my race. So
you must have been around me the other day. I said the same thing. I'm running my race.
I stay in my lane at all times.
All right, Usain Bolt. All right, Usain Bolt.
I'm telling you, I'm running my own race,
good.
and I understand that it's a long distance marathon, and I'm not trying to sprint to the finish line. Because
you said a lot with that statement. That's good, because we have to enjoy the journey, and a lot of people, they get discouraged because they're so honed in on yonder. Yonder, that they can't enjoy right now. But young lady, this has been so good. Have you enjoyed yourself?
I have. I just want to say one thing other than thanking you. I think that about the motivation thing is that it's important that people think of their life pretty much like if they're running, literally.
Amen.
And
that's
some people
good.
are on the treadmill and some people are on the road. And when you're on the treadmill, you're doing a whole lot of work and not getting anywhere. You don't see any difference in your atmosphere.
That's good.
But then there's some people who are on the track or they're on the path and they're running and they're seeing everything around them and then they get to their destination. So think of yourself as the person that's running down the street, that's running and getting someplace and seeing everything. Get off the treadmill. It's a waste of time.
Girl, your pictures don't do you justice.
Oh, thank you. You too, I think I'm
and tell your moms we said hey.
I will tell Miss Dorothy that you said hello.
Tell her we said hey, because I look at your Facebook page from time to time because you are just so pretty.
Oh,
And
thank
I saw a picture with you and your mom, and she had her glasses on. She was just kicked back, had the salt, pepper, hair, and everything. You just cheesy. This is my mama. This is my mama.
That's
So make
right.
sure you tell her we said
I
hey.
will. I will. She's a champion. She's a fighter. She's a rider.
Praise
so I
God.
definitely,
Praise God.
yes.
Praise
I'm
God.
glad
Praise
for
God.
her. I'm so happy for her.
Hallelujah. Well, everybody, we'll be right back as we get ready for the end of the show. And I just want to thank Miss Kiki, Miss playing the devil's advocate, for being here today. And I'm telling y'all, social media is shrinking the world, because that's how we hooked up with social media. I was just checking somebody else's page, and I saw your ad for your show, and I tuned in. The first show I heard of you, you were on the road at home in Chicago visiting your family, and you have pulled to the side and started your show. You said, "Excuse me, everybody, I know it's loud in the background, but I'm gonna do my show. I'm gonna do my show." And she said it just like that, "I'm gonna do my show." I'm like, who is this woman?
I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. My
Right.
mom was at home. I went home
That's
for her surgery.
exactly right.
And
That's
she
exactly
literally
right.
woke up from having surgery and
Yeah.
was like, "It's time for your show, isn't it?" I'm like, "Mama, go to bed." She was like, "All right, go do your thing. I'm
Yeah.
fine." And
And
so I'm
that's
literally
something.
in the hospital doing my show.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that show. Time flies so fast. But anyway, we're going to bring you back.
Okay.
We just ran out of time. But anyway, y'all, we'll be right back. We're going to go to another commercial, and then we're going to have Miss Kiki do our outro.
All right.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Walter Sims, and I am the Minister of Motivation. And I am so happy to announce that I'm going to be on every Sunday on Supervision.tv at 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, and 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What are you going to get when you watch my show? You're just going to get a whole lot of motivation, interviews, singing. It's no telling what you're going to see. But I'm just telling you, it's going to be worth your while. We're going to motivate you, because I believe if you're motivated, you're going to be inspired, and then you're going to act. Is that all right? Well, listen, this has been Dr. Walter Sims. I am the Minister of Motivation, and I am excited to be on Supervision.tv. And as I always say, if you stay high on life, life will stay high on you.
Hey, this is Kiki Richardson, and I thank you so much for tuning in today. We had a great show. I am so glad Dr. Sims asked me to come and join him, and you know, he's pretty dang on good with this interview thing. So I hope you tune in every Sunday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, the Dr. Walter Sims Show. Until then, TTFN. Oh wait, I'm supposed to tell you about me, right? So you can find me on Facebook under The Consummate Provocateur. If you can't spell, Google me. KikiRichardson.com, or you can tweet me, Kiki_Richardson on Twitter. That's it.